what exactly is the product and how does it work?
Well,
go ahead, Ray.
Since I created it, maybe I should know. The product is basically a method of communicating with your body through the use of energies and also a few other things that I've incorporated into the product. We call the product a do-it-yourself acupressure kit. And the reason we call it that is that it works in conjunction with the acupressure. So it works with your body. It's a way of communicating with your body. What I do is I have a 7-step process with creating the product where I incorporate different modalities that I have learned throughout my life. I've been into energy healing and health products basically all my life. Actually, since I learned about this clear back in my early 30s. And I can tell you real quick.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. But years and years ago, I had a friend who had an herb store, and we became really great friends. And I learned so many different things from her. I mean, from iridology, we became Reiki master. We did all kinds of things. But she was selling this bottled water, little itty bitty 1 ounce bottles, and people were buying them for $29. And I thought that was a lot of money for a 1 ounce bottle of water. Well, people were putting them on their acupressure points, and amazing things were happening. They were getting healed of all kinds. I guess I shouldn't use that word, but they were getting relieved of all kinds of symptoms and very happy and buying this product. Well, to me, it was like a big scam. I mean, we're talking, way back in the 80s. And so I'm thinking, how in the world can you put water on and these results are happening? So I was concerned about her, and I said, let me check this guy out. Sort of like what you're doing, Scott. So I called the owner of the company, and I said, can I come and visit you? I want to see how this works. He said, sure, come on up. Well, it was in Indianapolis. Well, that was a 5-hour drive or something like that. So I drove up there, and I expected to see a big bottling plant with all kinds of noise going on and stuff like that. Well, it was just him and I think one other employee there in a huge cavernous shop, sort of like what I have here in Morgantown. And I said, well, first he showed me this flip books. And he goes through, he says, this person I cured of cancer, this person had this problem. And I thought, how in the world did you do that with just this water? And he says, well, let me take you back here. And he showed me his place. Well, it was like a barren wasteland in there. There was tables and beakers of water sitting on these little black boxes and stuff. And I said, so where do you make the product? And he said, well, right there. I said, well, what's there? He says, well, that black box there, I'm putting a frequency of vitamin C in that water. And if you put that water on your body's going to think you ate vitamin C. I said, how in the world does that happen? And he said, I'm putting the frequency of vitamin C in that water. And so that water, when you put on your body, it resonates with your body with the frequency of vitamin C. And you get the benefits of vitamin C. So he was doing different formulations for people. And that's how, he was helping people with his products. And I said, well, how does this work? And he said, well, it's sort of like music. He says, but if you look at the periodic chart of elements, every element has its own frequency. In other words, hydrogen is hydrogen, gold is gold, and they're like radio stations. So you have all these little radio stations in the periodic chart of elements, and you cannot change them. If you change them, they become that other element. It's just like you have a dial on your radio. If it's 102, the song of 102 is playing there. If you turn to 101, guess what? It's a new song. So that is how the elements work on a periodic chart of elements. So the thing is, it's sort of like a note. Every element is a note. You put a few notes together and you create a chord, so it has a different sound. You put a whole bunch together and you create a song. Well, that's sort of how it works with with pharmaceutical products. They create combinations of elements or chemicals, whatever you want to call it, and that actually has a sound. And the sound, when you eat it, your body picks up that sound. And so it's a frequency that you're eating. He said the old school of thought was that chemical reactions happen in your body, but that's not true. They are electrical things that are happening in your body. And so when you're eating this frequency, your body is an antenna. Your DNA is an antenna. And all the cells in your body pick up the frequency, and they might change your heart rate, they might change your breathing, whatever. They're going to change all those things just because you ingested this frequency. And so anyways, that's how I got the idea about how it worked. And then he went a little further and he says, well, this water that I have, it has special minerals in it. So these minerals in the water are sort of like crystals. So they're picking up those energies and those frequencies, and they're vibrating. And that's how it communicates with your body. Well, lo and behold, I became sold. And I got involved. I learned more and more about it. And a lot of Amish people, Pennsylvania Dutch, were in this business with this guy. And they were using it on their cows. I don't know if you're familiar with muscle testing, where you put your hand out and someone pushes down a little bit to see if you're strong or weak. Well, they would use it on their livestock. So someone would stand next to a cow and be a surrogate for the cow. So they put their hand on the back of the cow, and then the other guy would muscle test that person to see what's wrong with the cow. And they would use the product on the cow. So you can use it on animals that way. So that really intrigued me. And so throughout the years, and I could even go back further, Brian could tell you, we could be here for an hour, but
yeah, Ray, I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that'll give you want to know how it works or why it works. But that's the premise of it. And awesome. I ended up, learn how to do that with holograms. And that's what we have today with our product, with the holograms and a quantum energy card.
Great. So guys, that in a nutshell is how it works. Okay. Now, next question, Ray. And as we go through these questions, like I said, I have a whole lot. So don't feel you have to go into total detail. This is kind of just like an overview type of a call.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ray, I know that there's a lot of similar, I do quote similar products on the market. What makes ours different?
They work.
Okay. Is there a specific problem that our product is designed to solve?
Well, they are designed to solve many problems. Matter of fact, I'm learning every day. I mean, who in the world would think that our product would help someone with MS? Okay. We have people in Europe that are, making claims about that. So, and I don't want to make a claim here, but I'm just telling you, every day I hear some new use of the product that I'm not familiar with. And you met John on one of our calls, and John Schaefer is a Olympic coach. But the benefit of John with our company, what he has is he has sort of like a laboratory, if you want to call it that, because of the professional athletes that he trains and develops, and they have different ailments. So he has hands-on experience with how to fix this and how to fix that. And as a matter of fact, he wrote the book on the placement of our products, for whatever, all kinds of things, from diarrhea to allergies.
Yeah. Great. So there's no specific problem, guys, that this product is designed for everything. Okay. Who is the product for? Like age, lifestyle, health needs? Is it specifically designed for any of those, or pretty much anyone?
Well, that's a favorite answer for Brian, so I'll let him chime in here. And before I go any further, I'd like to tell you, or whoever your listeners are, Brian is the master distributor of the company. In other words, he is the tip of the iceberg type of thing. He's the advocate for all of our affiliates and distributors. I talk to him every day, many times, multiple times a day, and he's definitely a huge resource. He's the person you would go to for questions, for help, for strategy, and that type of thing. So you're not forgotten in this business. We actually take care of the people. So go ahead, Brian.
Well, thank you, Ray. To answer your question, Scott, it's really simple. If you can fog a mirror, you can benefit from our products. There's no age restrictions. There's no limitations on application or who you are, where you are. It really doesn't matter. Anybody can use our products.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that we have been on testimonial type calls, but what kind of results have folks seen using this product? You don't have to go into a whole lot of details, but just because we'll get into some of those later.
Yeah, I'll give you a simple answer. We've had millions of dollars of products sold, and we can count on one hand the amount of returns that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So put that in perspective for yourself. I mean, it's a matter of, when you have that many people using the products, if it didn't work, if they weren't satisfied, if there was any problems whatsoever, we'd be getting products returned left, right, and center. We don't.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really got me intrigued when you had mentioned that to me, Brian. Is there more? Is this product more for support, prevention, or correction?
Yes.
Okay, I love it. How do I know that this is something that in these questions we're going somewhere, right? But how the listener, how do I know that this is something that I need? If they were to say that, how do I know that this is something that I need?
Well, it's really quite simple. I mean, you ask yourself, how perfect am I? Mm-hmm. Is there anything in my life right now that I can use a little bit of help on, improving? Yeah. And that could cover everything in a wide range of topics. So we leave it up to the individual to decide for themselves if there's a possibility they can benefit by using our products. And the application of our products cover basically every possible thing you can possibly think of. So it's up to the individual. Yeah.
Yeah, which I love. So it's open for everyone, guys. Is this something that people use? And I'm referring to this like the Quantagram and the card and everything of that nature. But is this something that people use every day or only when needed?
It depends on the individual. I've been using my products for 20 years. I severely injured my back, L4 and 5, many years ago with one of my companies, and they wanted to do surgery, and I was in my early 30s, and I was way too young at the time. I figured if I have surgery, I'm probably going to end up in a wheelchair by the time I'm 50 or 60. And so for me, I avoided the surgery, and I wore a back brace for many years and, plodged along. I couldn't ride my horse. I couldn't go skiing, couldn't do any of that stuff ever again, in my mind, I thought. And over 20 years ago, I was introduced to this technology. And I use it regularly. I mean, for sleep, for pain, for energy, and a lot of other personal things that I won't get into. But yeah, it's part of my lifestyle. I don't do drugs. I don't do pills. I don't do potions or lotions or any of that stuff. So for me, it's something I use on a daily basis. And I don't need it every day. I have a variety of different products that I do use.
Yeah. Ray, I'm going to come back to you with this next question. Are there actual ingredients? You don't have to give the ingredients if there are, but are there actual...
Careful, Ray. We don't want to give too much information here, Scott. I'm just saying Ray has a tendency to, so I'm here to make sure that I'll just say I have patents, and with this, the thing with people say, how come your products aren't patented? And it's really simple. A patent has a lifespan, and after the lifespan is over,
the moment. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, but just be careful. Don't
there are no ingredients. I guess where I'm coming from, I had a question today. Then they said, is there anything that is absorbed into the body or bloodstream through the skin using these? Okay, that's kind of where.
No, there's nothing like that. Matter of fact, the sticker, the adhesive on it is a food grade, water soluble glue. It's the same thing that's put on vegetables and fruits and stuff in a supermarket, but it's all based on energies that are imprinted into the product.
Got you. So are there like any artificial additives, allergens, preservatives, anything that people need to be concerned about? Awesome.
No, okay. I don't use any pharmaceuticals like our products for relief, to make you feel better if you hurt somewhere. There are no pharmaceuticals. There's no Advil. I don't have those type of energies in there. I use natural herbal type products, and every one of our products have a different formulation of herbal frequencies in there, and the frequencies are from actually real herbs. I mean, I actually have them here, and take their frequency and put into the product. So it's not like I went and bought a book of frequencies and just typed them into a little computer or something. It's nothing like that.
No.
Yeah. Is there any type of testing that you can share with the listeners that's been done to make sure that it's safe for anyone that wears it?
Well, that's a funny question, because the same people that would ask that question will take a cell phone and put all that huge energy to their head. And then they're going to ask me if this little sticker is going to hurt them.
Yeah.
And the question is no. It's, first off, Melinda is sitting here next to me. She has a frequency. I have a frequency.
Yep.
So our frequencies right now, because of how close we are intertwined. So that's basically how all this works. It's based on resonation. So the products, it may have 50 different herbal frequencies in it, but the ones that are going to work with you are only the ones that resonate with your body, what you need. So you can't overdose on it. You can't hurt yourself with it or anything like that, or all of a sudden say, oh my God, it's got macadamia nuts in there and I'm allergic to them, which I am. So, it wouldn't cause any kind of reaction. Your body just wouldn't accept it.
Awesome. So someone joins us and they decide that they want to purchase, a lot of this product. Is there ever an expiration date or a loss of effectiveness over time as they're stored at a house? Or?
No, I can tell you, I have some products here from, I over the past 20 some years, I've private labeled to other companies, and I still use some of those products just for handouts or whatever. And they still work perfectly fine. Our products are all placed into a anti-static bag, little envelope. And the reason for that isn't because they're going to get stale or go bad, but the holograms are a little more sensitive. Like if you go through the mail system or something like that, where there's, radiation and x-rays and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to preserve the product as best as possible for the end user.
Yeah, I read that on the package when I got my product. It says, keep away from, like microwave and that sort of deal. Mm-hmm. Let's move into more usage of the product. When the product arrives, how should the product be used?
Well, first off, you have to decide, what you want to work on. Like you had your shoulder and your knees and that type of thing. So, first thing you're going to look at is, oh boy, let me check the relief and place that on. Some people have sleep problems, and John Schaefer can tell you with his athletes that the most important thing for everything almost in your body is sleep. So a lot of people don't even realize that they have sleep problems. And I think on the website, I have even a link from the NIH or something like that, where they're talking about how many people actually have sleeping issues. So sleep is a good product to use, even if you think you don't need it. There's nights that I think I don't use it, and I think, oh, I don't need it, But then I wake up in the morning tired, or I wake up during the middle of the night and things like that. But when I do use a sleep product, which is more often now, is I put one right here in the middle of my forehead, and I have a great night's sleep. Mm-hmm. So you just decide what you want. Some women, maybe have the menopause type problems. Then we have, we got the pleasure product for that. Everyone should have one of our on our cell phone to, help protect your body from putting this against your head, or even holding it. It's emitting a signal that's very strong and very dangerous.
One of the concerns that I had, and just being honest, we're kind of talking, was when I heard acupuncture, and I'm like, man, I don't know any, places or whatever. And so when I got my product, and I just received it last evening, I was like, well, where do I put, I'm having pain in my shoulder. And when I read the directions, it literally said, touch where it's most tender. I think, can you guys see that right there?
Yeah.
That's where it's most tender. I put it on last night. Nothing happened. And I'm like, oh gosh, what in the world? And what am I getting myself into? And I kind of forgot about it. And then I woke up this morning and I went to shave and I was not able to raise my arms at all. This arm. And I was shaving and I'm like, wait a minute, something is really different, And I did a video about it and there's a tenderness to it, if I can explain correctly, but there's no pain. There's not a sharp pain. So that was the next question that I had, where do people place this on the body, which you kind of covered. And then the next question was, well, how long does it take to start seeing results? And you had covered on the call that I was on, Ray, that some people see it immediately. Some people might see it the next day, which was my case. Is there like a time frame where people say, oh, this is not working for me? Like a week? Do they wait a week when they get it? Anything that you can share on that?
I would say if they don't notice something in a day, in 24 hours, you need to find another spot, move it around and you have to experiment with the one called relief. You have to determine where to put it. There's not an acupressure point to look for. Now, John can tell you some acupressure points because he knows, okay, well, you got this problem, you need to put it here. But, and also with the relief product, it's good sometimes to put another one on the opposite side, just sort of like someone shot an arrow through you.
Yeah.
So where it went in and where it comes out, and that will complete a circuit.
Yeah. Ray, does it get better, or Brian too, does it get better the longer you wear it? Like that was one of my questions myself. I got up today and it's still tender, but there is no sharp pain. But I'm wondering, is there a regeneration of something that's happening?
I can tell you real quick what happens is what heals your body? It's oxygen. You get oxygen to a place in your body, all of a sudden healing takes place. And so what these acupressure products do is they help stimulate your blood flow. And the more blood you get into that area, the better it's, faster it's going to heal. And sometimes you might want to use more than one hologram for whatever situation where it hurts, 2 or 3 different places. But Brian, go ahead and
100%. Like I said, I injured my back severely. Now, if you look at me, you'd never think I ever had back issues. I mean, I can twist, I can bend. Now I'm a little older, so I got to be, I can't push it like I did when I was in my 20s, but I still use them when I do push it too far. But I have no back issues whatsoever. I've had multiple surgeries and I'm relatively fit for my age. Let's put it that way, without any physical evidence of having any difficulties whatsoever.
Awesome. Guys, can the product be used alongside other supplements or medications?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And I pretty much can people sleep with it on, which we just covered? Yes, you can. Can they wear it 24/7?
No, you don't want to sleep with the energy on because you won't be.
Right.
Yeah.
No, like some of the like the sleep and that sort of deal. So you can sleep with it on.
Oh yeah.
One of the questions I asked Brian today, are we able, like for example, I'm going to wear this, I believe, is it 3 days on, 3 days off? Ray, how does that work?
It's sort of, that's a recommended thing, but you can just see if it's still effective, leave it there. The reason that there's a 3 days on, 3 days off is because you'll overstimulate where it is and your body will get used to it and then it's not going to be as effective. So you can take it off and move it to a different spot, so it's not that it hurts you to go too long. The problem is that you don't want to make your wherever you have it, you don't want to make it ineffective.
Mm-hmm. And then another question was that, and I had asked Brian this, but Ray, Brian or Ray, if you want to kind of expound on it. Let's say I'm taking a shower and it falls off. Am I able to put a Band-Aid over it to hold it to where it needs to be?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. However, I would recommend putting a new one on because, they are consumable. I'm kidding.
Well, with that, I mean, should people avoid water, heat, or anything that could damage the product?
No, I bathe. I shower with mine on. I bathe. I go swimming. I mean, they're part of my body. They're part of my DNA, and I don't take mine off. I wear them till they fall off, and then I put them back on when I need them again. And sometimes that is longer than 3 or 4 days.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Because when I was speaking with someone, they're like, "Wow, that's kind of expensive." I'm like, it's not really expensive when you realize you can wear one for like 3 days. I mean, that's like a 3-month. Well. Okay, so let's move over into some safety and compliance, okay? We hear a lot about, is the product FDA approved or manufactured in FDA registered facilities? Can you explain a bit more of what that means with our particular company?
Our product is not FDA approved. It's just basically an acupressure product. And we've been selling it that way for 20 some years. And we manufacture it here in our warehouse in Morgantown.
Awesome. Are there any known side effects?
No.
Outside of feeling?
Well, yes, but they're positive side effects.
Yeah.
And I could give you a couple examples, but they would be mine personally, so I can't really share them with you. But yes, there are positive side. There's never been a negative side effect.
Yeah. Yeah, we've never had any problems with that. I mean, the only side effect if you got into this business is that you'll make money.
That's awesome. So we covered earlier about who's it for, but I've read some things, but I just want the listeners to know: is it safe for kids, pregnant women, seniors? Is there anything that we should be mindful of on that area?
Pregnant women, you have to be careful with pregnant women. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and pregnant women, it's not because the product is dangerous, it's the acupressure point. In other words, if you place, you could just, with nothing, start pushing on a pregnant lady's ankles and put her into labor. So that's the reason we say, pregnant lady, need to speak with their, professional health person before they start poking around on their acupressure points.
Yeah. Ray, I had spoke with you a bit last evening in regards to someone that was, I'm assuming they were joking, but they said, well, our company has so many of these patents and you guys don't have any patent. Can you share with the folks that are listening the reasoning of, first of all, what a patent is and why we were not going to even look into getting a patent?
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay, that's easy. As I mentioned earlier, patents have a lifespan. And after the lifespan is over, everybody has access to your formulations, your process, your everything like that. And ours is well protected. And because of that fact, we will never patent the product.
Yeah, patents are mostly marketing ploys. I had our attorney check out patents of a couple competitors. And she said that, it was so weak that they wouldn't want to be challenged because they would end up losing their patent. So,
oh, wow.
So that's, I just don't feel the need to tell the world how I do this. And, there's a huge company out there that it's a different product, but it's sort of similar in the same realm. And they have a patent explaining their equipment that they use. Well, actually, both of these companies did. I'm not going to do that.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what prevents someone from copying this and doing the same thing. I mean, is that safe to say?
Yeah. The way that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Even beyond the process, the formulations that Ray used, there's no way you can be duplicated because you can't even, you can't explore how it's done. There's no equipment available that be able to go in there and figure out exactly what resonates with the product. Yeah. They're that passive.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, when something is precious, I mean, we all know it. If you're listening in, you guys, if something is precious to you, I mean, you're going to protect it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really bottom line what we're doing.